my Cancer crabs. If you'd like to contact me for personal reading, my email address as well as my website is in the description box below. My website has my rates, which are my prices, how much time you get. Also, if you'd like to get the book, the link to the book is actually in the description box as well as the comment section. And I also post my website in the comment section also. Also, too, if you'd like to find out what it is that I honestly think about Cancer crabs, stick around to the end of the video. Right, just kind of my assessment. So the cards that I come up with for Cancer crabs are the High Priestess, the Hermit, Two of Swords, the Ten of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Five of Swords, the Star, the Six of Swords, the Chariot, okay, and then the Nine of Cups. Now, the Chariot does represent Cancer crabs, so you showed up in your own reading, okay? So what I'm seeing here for you Cancers is that, you know, pretty much when it comes to relationships, because this is a tarot reading relationship channel here, you Cancers, how do I say this? The context of why it is that you get yourselves into relationships are off. You need some guidance. You need to start asking yourself, who are you, what it is that you want, how you can actually start going about getting what you want. And you need to also pay very much attention to the people that are hanging around you. A lot of the times the Cancer crabs, I know Cancer crabs quite well in the sense of I've hung around them basically for a very, very long time. Long time. But one of the things about the Cancer crabs is y'all can sometimes hang around people who don't challenge y'all in that way. Because if they were to challenge you, then some of you Cancer crabs, or a lot of you Cancer crabs, will get upset at that. And it's like, we're not going to do that over here on this channel. This channel is not about over safety. You can be safe, but this channel is not about over safety. It's not about that. It's about growth, expansion. It's about flexibility, right? The ability to be versatile, right? And well-rounded, as well as the ability to remain safe, sane, healthy. So the thing is that a lot of times in my readings, why I come at the zodiac signs that I'm doing a reading for, I'm doing it because I'm challenging y'all. You know what I mean? But in this case, I'm challenging you Cancer crabs. Your perception of a relationship is off, and that you're doing it from the back perspective as opposed to the front perspective. So what it's saying to you is that you would be able to get a lot more done if you stop looking at it from a perspective of needing to constantly protect yourself so much to the point where you can't see anything else other than your own protection. So the things that the Hermit represents here is, that's another thing too, because you do have a such thing called the Hermit crab, which the Hermit crab, now that I think about it, the Hermit crab is essentially redundant. The only thing that makes, I ain't gonna say the only thing, but one of the big things that makes a hermit crab pretty much different from a standard crab is the fact that a hermit crab basically can lose their shell. Also, they can retreat into their shell, as opposed to a standard crab. Pretty much the exoskeleton is the shell that it is hiding in on itself, and that there is no pulling in like a turtle. So, so as a result of this, a hermit crab is pretty much redundant in a sense, because a crab is a hermit by definition, regardless of whether or not you want to believe it or not. What Cancer crabs need is isolation, right? That, self-imposed, because you need to do it on your own. Self-imposed isolation. The home is definitely that self-imposed isolation that a lot of you Cancer crabs so desperately need and want. I think self-imposed isolation is me answering my own questions of how is it that you engage with a Cancer crab without dealing with without dealing with the claws and the fighting. And that's the answer. How you do that is Cancer crabs is a representation of having a significant other but without living with them, so that the two of them can go back to their respective spaces. Two of swords, and actually function by themselves without having to step on the toes, proverbially, of the other person. Now this is the stuff that's coming from me, coming out. It's flowing outwards like water. So that must mean that these are the answers to what it is that I'm reading. But the thing is that the Ten of Wands and the Knight of Wands represents, you're going to have to start being honest about that. And if you ask me, it means that you're going to have to start destroying the status quo. Because for some odd reason, there's this BS status quo of marriage. People back in the 50s, because my mom was born in 52, but people back in those times in the 50s, the 60s, moving forward, were not married. There was no ring on people's fingers. It was two consenting adults choosing to be with each other, and it didn't even necessarily meant that they lived together. Sometimes they didn't live together, but the parents would come over and see their kids and hang out like that, and take them and or leave them with the other parents, stuff like this. But a lot of them actually lived apart, and I'm taking this from multiple sources of people who are of age. They're in their 60s and their 70s or older, who are all telling me the same thing. This marriage concept of people needing to do it, no offense, but people, no offense to YouTube, and I don't want to get hit, but people needing to take this institutionalized way of committing to each other, that was a rare thing. Yeah, people actually did used to get married. Of course, there was some people that got married, but that was so rare. It was like few and far, you know what I'm saying? Like specks in an ocean, That's so. And a lot of you Cancers, what I'm seeing here about these two cards is that you Cancers going to have to start getting real about this. Y'all got some issues that y'all need to work out, some emotional issues, because Cancer crabs have it. Well, I'm actually telling you what I think about y'all in the video, come to find out. But you Cancer crabs have some serious issues that y'all need to deal with. And that's the point. That's one of the principles that Cancer crabs represent. It represents, this is what happens when you don't deal with your issues, your emotional, your internal baggage. It becomes junk. And if you pay attention to a crab can be, I'm not insulting y'all, it can be a bottom feeder where they eat the junk that people throw into the ocean. You know what I mean? But that just goes to show you the resourcefulness of a Cancer, where they essentially can survive on almost anything, like the goat. Capricorn, but that's one of the things that they share. A goat can eat steel. Anyway, let's get off that. So the thing is that the five of Swords now represents this being a situation for you where the Five of Swords is about how this is where a lot of the pain comes from. This is where a lot of the pain comes from. A lot of the pain comes from you Cancer crabs not being able to admit to yourselves that, number one, you have a lot of emotional baggage that you legitimately have to work out, or self-destruction is near, it's nigh. And if you are Cancer crabs and you know that you don't want somebody up in your face like that living with you all the time, Say that. Now is most definitely the time for you to actually say it. Now that people are getting opportunities and stuff like this, especially even more so at a time like this, where you could pop off whatever it is that you want to pop off. There's a lane open for everything and everyone. You know, certain things you may get caught and you may go to jail for, but nonetheless, if we're looking at it from a non-moralistic perspective, there is a lane open for everything and everyone, including the people who are criminals. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go and do the criminal stuff, but I'm saying that there's a lane open for pretty much everyone. So you Cancer crabs have to figure out, what lane do you find yourself in? Honestly, the star card represents here the desire to find someone like that. Yeah, there is most definitely people out here, you know, most definitely. And the thing is that the Six of Swords, excuse me, and the Chariot, the Six of Swords and Chariot represents Cancer. The Six of Swords represents, you know, just be patient and just be patient and just understand that, you know, people are jockeying for resources. So I know you love money, because Cancer crabs is a zodiac sign that loves money. With Aries, the cardinal signs love money. They love money. They are in love with money. I know you Cancer crabs love money, but if you are going to be in a relationship that works, it's not necessarily about the money. And I'll tell you why. Because the money can be built. The money can be accumulated. If you know what it is that you're doing, the money can be accumulated. You just have to find out how, and you have to actually start practicing things. See, the differences between people who are financially successful and who are not financially successful are the practices that they apply. It really, you know, seriously, in concept, in a mental space, it really is that simplistic. I'm not saying that it's easy. I said it's simplistic, meaning it's something to be understood that's direct. But if you're going to be in a relationship, you should be in a relationship. The Nine of Cups represents how, and this will pretty much help the relationship out, right? Now the Chariot, I'll go back to the Chariot. The Chariot does represent how there can be a certain level of stagnation when it comes to your emotions. This is why it is that you speak up. So this is why you speak up. You know, it's frustrating because I'm a Virgo and I like when people are communicating to me, right? A lot, because then me and the person, if we happen to be in a relationship, can actually work things out. Here's the problem with Cancer crabs, though. Cancer crabs is the type of zodiac sign where if you offend them, they may not necessarily tell you. Then what the freak? What the freak? So if that's the case, and you're not even going to tell me what it is, how do I even know how to even fix the situation so that I can actually fix that? I don't know. I'm somewhere with my hands up like this, right? I would know. So, you know, let's clarify the Chariot. You know, it's not that I'm a jerk. It's just that I'm not holding, you know what I'm saying? I'm not holding anyone here. If they don't want to be with me, they don't have to. Just be honest with it. To clarify the Chariot, we have the Strength, the Fool, and we have the Knight, the King of Pentacles. Hold on. Sorry about that. Little sweat dripping. You know what I'm saying? It's warm here for Labor Day. I don't know about y'all. Let me know what the temperature is for y'all. But the Strength, the Fool, and the King of Pentacles represents how this is a situation for a lot of you where to clarify the Chariot just a little bit more, the Strength is about don't allow your quietness to work against you. Tell people what's going on with you. Yes, you're gonna have to do some opening up. Yes, you're gonna have to do that. Yes, you will. In order for you to get what you want, people are not going to be able to read your minds. Most people on earth do not have that psychic ability. All right, now. So then you have the Fool, which represents you're going to have to actually learn to, like I said, trust people. And then the things that the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles represents how a lot of you Cancers also need to understand that, because it represents how a lot of you Cancers will have a very well-rounded, a much more fulfilling relationship if you did. Now, I pretty much said most of the things that I wanted to say about Cancer crabs. The other thing that I really wanted to say really quickly, because I pretty much told you what I thought. The other thing that I want to say about Cancer crabs really quickly, which is the last thing, is that the Cancer crab is going to have to start opening up, and they're going to have to stop being so violent. And what I mean by that is that Cancer crab is a zodiac sign where they can kind of take it to a point where they can really push themselves off of that space, if you know what I mean, off that square, so to speak, where they will hurt you, and your partner doesn't necessarily want to be with that, right? So stop being so dangerous. You know what I mean? Finances is not the end all be all. It really isn't. Stop favoring, your finances over a life. You know what I mean? If you didn't want to get together with the person, you don't have to. You know what I mean? Stop needing to be needed. You know what I mean? I know you love nurturing other people, but you have to start learning to nurture people from a healthy perspective, where if they don't need you, you got to learn to let it go. Because if you ever seen a crabs will eat their own young, if you ever seen it. And because they think too much of the small crabs, because a crab can have up to 10,000 little crabs at one time. If you ever seen a biology on crabs, yes, I study all the zodiac signs. Yes, I do. So I'm qualified to know what I'm talking about because I'm actually studying them. So, and then not only that too, but also please understand that not everything is about your emotions, and you have to understand that your emotions has to be expressed in a very constructive way. There's no point in having all of these emotions, but yet those very same emotions, your very strength, your very power, your very home is actually, when I say the home, I mean internally, spiritually, your very home, which is your feelings and your emotions, happens to be the very same thing that destroy you. So that's just something to think about. Peace.